Victory is the only way. Bakugou and the moral imperative of absolute success. Welcome back to Philothoughts, where we dissect the deepest ideas hidden within the stories we love. Today, we're diving into the explosive psyche of Bakugou Katsuki from My Hero Academia. He is the ultimate study in ambition, anger, and self-belief. For Bakugou, winning isn't an option, it's a moral and existential necessity. We'll explore how this unyielding obsession with victory drives him to greatness, almost destroys him, and ultimately leads to one of the most profound character evolutions in modern anime. Bakugou's journey is defined by a singular, rigid philosophy. Victory is the only path to heroism, and anything less than absolute success is a validation of failure. This belief system originates from a potent mix of innate talent, unchecked praise, and a profound, complex admiration for All Might. For Bakugou, being a hero isn't about saving people. That's secondary. It's about being undeniably the best, because only the best can truly save everyone. This video argues that Bakugou's early arrogance is not mere ego, but a psychological defense mechanism. He sets an impossibly high standard for himself because he's terrified of being weak, a fear rooted in his trauma of seeing All Might hurt. We will analyze how this obsessive pursuit of victory evolves from a toxic tool of domination into a refined, powerful ethics of self-mastery. His arc is a powerful deconstruction of the idea of winning, showing that true success requires conquering the self before conquering the enemy. Bakugou's core dilemma is philosophical. He confuses domination with leadership. His early interpretation of winning requires him to crush his rivals, especially Deku, to establish his absolute superiority. This toxic drive is a direct result of the hero society culture that worshipped power and rewarded exceptionalism without tempering it with humility. He carries the weight of this flawed ideology, believing that if he is not unilaterally superior, the entire structure of his self-worth collapses. This makes his victory complex. It's not just a physical goal, but a desperate need to maintain his psychological equilibrium. Crucially, the rivalry with Deku serves as his greatest moral mirror. Deku, the initially powerless protagonist, represents the indomitable spirit of effort and empathy, qualities Bakugou's obsession with innate talent initially blinded him to. The constant challenge posed by Deku forces him to realize that absolute success cannot be achieved through arrogance alone. It requires genuine respect for the struggle of others and a willingness to acknowledge his own deficiencies. This painful process transforms his philosophy of victory from a tool of pride into a demanding standard of professional excellence and personal accountability. The burden of brilliance, victory as an existential requirement. For Bakugou, his natural talent and powerful quirk were a double-edged philosophical sword. From a young age, he was told he was exceptional, creating a worldview where his existence was contingent on his superiority. Victory, therefore, became an existential requirement, not a simple ambition. He couldn't afford to lose, because losing would mean his entire self-image, the brilliant genius, was a lie. This creates the burden of brilliance. Bakugou is trapped by his own expectations. He must always live up to the image of the invincible prodigy. This manifests as intense rage and arrogance, which serve as psychological shields against the terrifying possibility of failure. The anger isn't just a personality trait, it's a desperate energy he uses to maintain the illusion of control and dominance. The core tragedy here is that his obsession with absolute victory makes him profoundly unhappy. He cannot enjoy his success because he's immediately focused on the next higher barrier. This constant pressure turns his prodigious talent into a source of constant stress, revealing a deep-seated vulnerability beneath his explosive facade. His mindset can be analyzed through the lens of perfectionism as trauma response. Having been conditioned to believe that his inherent worth is tied to being the greatest, any perceived flaw or dependency becomes an intolerable threat. This explains his initial vehement rejection of offers of help or partnership. Collaboration implies that he is incomplete or insufficient on his own. This philosophical refusal to share the burden is an attempt to enforce his self-created flawless identity, ironically making his path to true victory harder and isolating him emotionally. Furthermore, Bakugou's early victories are hollow victories. He often wins battles, but loses the moral or emotional.
the Deku dynamic, the unintentional mirror of self-doubt. The philosophical catalyst for Bakugou's growth is his complicated relationship with Midoriya Izuku, Deku. Deku is not just his childhood friend, he is Bakugou's unintentional moral mirror, forcing him to confront the flaws in his absolute victory philosophy. For Bakugou, Deku's initial powerlessness and sudden rise were a fundamental threat to his ordered universe. If the quirkless loser could rise, then the system that validated Bakugou's innate superiority was built on sand. This is a crisis of epistemology. The way Bakugou knew and defined the world, based on clear power hierarchies, was shattered by Deku's existence. Bakugou's famous aggression towards Deku stems from a crippling, buried self-doubt. He subconsciously envies Deku's pure, selfless motivation, the drive to save, not just to win, and his relentless effort, which Bakugou initially dismisses. The moment Bakugou realizes the truth about One for All, his rage turns to guilt. He realizes his bullying was based on a fundamental, cruel misunderstanding of Deku's struggle. This guilt is the critical turning point. It forces him to redefine his winning philosophy from dominating Deku to keeping pace with him as a true equal and eventually a partner. The intensity of his denial regarding Deku can be understood through the lens of cognitive dissonance. Bakugou's entire life was spent affirming the belief that only the naturally gifted, like him, could achieve greatness. Deku's existence challenges this belief directly. By continuously harassing and putting down Deku, Bakugou was not just bullying a peer, he was desperately trying to silence the cognitive dissonance that threatened to collapse the carefully constructed framework of his superiority. This is the tragic cycle of an ego trying to preserve itself at the expense of reality. Furthermore, their rivalry evolves into a higher form of competitive collaboration, which eventually allows Bakugou to mature. Their secret battle after the provisional licensing exam forces Bakugou to articulate his complex feelings, his guilt over All Might's retirement, and his respect for Deku's determination. By acknowledging Deku's strength and accepting his secret, Bakugou frees himself from the illusion of absolute solitary victory. He shifts from a zero-sum mentality, where only one person can win, to a shared success mentality, where their combined strength is necessary for the ultimate, most meaningful victory.
The ethics of the strong, shifting from domination to protection. The most crucial philosophical development in Bakugou's journey is the transformation of his definition of strength and victory. Initially, strength was used for domination and self-aggrandizement. However, through shared experience and confronting true evil, his philosophy shifts towards protection. His commitment to absolute victory remains, but the meaning changes. The greatest victory is ensuring the safety of others. This is best seen when he actively risks his life to save Deku from villains, even when it costs him his own tactical advantage or glory. He realizes that a true hero, like All Might, is defined by their unyielding will to protect, not just their high power level. This ethical shift represents a move from egoism, winning for himself, to altruism, winning for others. But it is a uniquely Bakugou form of altruism. He does not stop wanting to be the best. He simply integrates the belief that the best must be the one who secures victory for everyone. He retains his intensity and ambition, but channels it into a noble professional standard. Only by achieving absolute victory can he fulfill his moral duty as a hero. This transition is a perfect example of his journey from raw power to refined virtue. His earlier ethics demanded that he crush the opponent to prove himself as strong, often resulting in unnecessary collateral damage or emotional toxicity. His mature philosophy, however, demands calculated, efficient, and decisive victory. The kind of victory that instills confidence and peace in those he protects. He starts using his intelligence, strategy, and understanding of others' abilities, realizing that true strength includes the capacity for strategic self-restraint and coordinated action, a concept entirely alien to his younger self. Furthermore, his ultimate goal is no longer merely to be the symbol of peace, but to be the hero who stands strong enough that others don't have to worry. This shows a deep evolution in his understanding of the hero's burden. He aims to replace the crushing existential requirement of winning for himself with the professional requirement of
The price of glory, the sacrifice of pride for true success. The final and most heartbreaking step in Bakugou's philosophical maturation is his ultimate realization of sacrifice. His lifelong pursuit of glory, fueled by pride, eventually demanded the total abandonment of that very pride. The central irony of his journey is revealed. To achieve the absolute victory that defines his heroism, Bakugou had to accept that he could not win alone. And sometimes, victory required him to put Deku's success above his own safety and glory. This is best exemplified by the moment he physically intervenes to save Deku, taking a critical blow intended for his rival. This act is more than a physical save. It is a moral and ideological surrender. He publicly acknowledges Deku's necessity and superiority in that moment, sacrificing his image as the undisputed solitary hero. This sacrifice of ego, the ultimate price of glory, was the one action that genuinely validated his heroic aspirations. By finally expressing his deepest, previously denied feelings of remorse, respect, and loyalty, he achieves the ultimate form of self-mastery, the mastery over his own toxic pride. This moment of sacrifice serves as a powerful philosophical synthesis, merging his ambition with his morality. He effectively redefines his personal mantra from "I must win to prove I am the best" to "I must ensure the necessary victory, regardless of the personal cost." This acceptance of shared responsibility and collaboration is the final death of his early isolated heroism. He learns that the greatest strength is not self-sufficiency, but dependability, recognizing that a true number one must be someone others can rely on completely, even if it means stepping back from the spotlight. The psychological breakthrough here is the final public confrontation with his shame and guilt towards Deku. By putting his body on the line, he physically atones for years of psychological abuse and dismissiveness. This act is the ultimate commitment to his reformed ethical code, confirming that his victory mandate is now completely clean of self-serving malice. It allows him to finally stand as a complete hero, defined not by the volume of his explosions, but by the depth of his commitment to the people he chooses to protect.
Conclusion: the meaning of true victory. Bakugou Katsuki's life is a masterful deconstruction of the concept of victory. He started his journey confusing winning with domination and confusing strength with arrogance. His profound arc teaches us that true success is not measured by the number of rivals crushed, but by the moral and emotional distance traveled from one's weakest self. His relentless pursuit of absolute victory, initially a source of immense toxicity, was ultimately transmuted into an unwavering ethic of responsibility. By accepting Deku, apologizing for his cruelty, and physically sacrificing his own safety and glory, Bakugou redefined his entire existence. He proved that the strongest hero is the one who has the courage to be vulnerable, and that the highest form of victory is self-mastery and redemption. The explosive brilliance of Bakugou's character lies in the fact that he never became less Bakugou, he became more of what he was meant to be, a truly reliable, capable, and profoundly ethical hero. His story is the ultimate proof that ambition, when tempered by humility and directed by genuine care, is the engine of heroism. He achieved the ultimate victory, conquering his own toxic pride to become the hero he was always destined to be.
The final philosophical takeaway from Bakugou's saga is his validation of purposeful intensity. He taught us that passion, even the seemingly negative form of anger, can be refined and used as a force for good. He is a testament to the idea that a hero does not have to be a paragon of calm serenity, like Todoroki's ice. They can be a controlled, decisive explosion, so long as the underlying purpose is righteous. His victory mandate, "I will be the one who wins and saves everyone," evolves into a mature ethical code that combines the best of his raw talent with the moral necessities of his calling. In essence, Bakugou's journey is the series' most powerful argument for personal accountability and growth. He was not passively redeemed by circumstances or by an outside power. He fought, struggled, and painfully chose to confront his inner darkness and transform it. He demonstrates that the most meaningful victories are not external, defeating a villain, but internal, defeating the ego that makes one unworthy of the victory itself. He truly earned his place as the hero who triumphs, not in spite of his fiery personality, but because he learned to master it. Bakugou's journey challenges us. Where in your life are you confusing winning with simple domination? Let us know in the comments below. What moment in Bakugou's story convinced you that he was on the path to true redemption? If the explosive evolution of Bakugou resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe to Philothoughts for more deep dives into the philosophy of manga and anime.